Okay.
All right, this is the James and Gina show for October 13th. This is the product and UX sync for the testing group in the verify stage at GitLab. I don't see anything in our agenda for follow-ups this week. Did we have anything we needed to circle back on?
I don't think so, because you had created the research issues, which you tagged me on, and you had created the one about the feedback for one of the features. And that was our two things we talked about last week.
Okay, yeah, I got the feedback issue for the project quality MVC. Yep, and I asked you to look at all of the planning issues in the scripts for what I've set out for transition, 14.5, 14.6, 14.7. Those are all out there. You good on those?
Yes, I forgot to check them.
So we recorded the 14.5 kickoff, so I assume that you were okay with it this week.
Yes.
Awesome, cool. So we got everything started there. So that's all of our follow-up. And then you want to jump in with your weekly priorities?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm not going to even share the thing because I don't think it's worth it. We have 4 days left of this milestone. 4 days. And yeah. And I just wanted to say that the project quality summary was marked as a stretch, but I'm still thinking that I can get those things done in the last 4 days.
Okay.
It just then, if we have discussion around those changes, that would get pushed into 14.5.
I don't think we'll need too much discussion on those.
That's what I was.
We've had plenty of discussion already. Like the iterations that we're making are results of our previous discussion.
Right.
If you want to break that down more, we've broken down the epic so that we're delivering just an empty page first, and then test summary data because we have that in, or the test coverage data rather, because we have that endpoint, and then the test summary data in like sequential milestones. So if you want to break your work down into those iterations as well and deliver just here's where the page is going to be like empty, and then here it is with just a single data point state, great, and we can go from there. If that makes it less stretch, more, yeah, I can get that done in 4 days, great. If you want to tackle it all, great. I'll trust that when 14.5 kicks off, that Miranda will have something to look at to deliver an empty page though.
Yes, I definitely.
Awesome.
I need to find, do you have the link to the epic that you were just referring to? I'm pretty sure you tagged me in it.
I'm pretty sure that it is the epic in that feedback. Yeah, so it's the epic in that feedback issue, which I will link to in here. There you go.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So we, Scott and I broke out and created some additional issues so that we could get something shipped sooner and start to get feedback from customers sooner, even though it's feedback on data they have already seen. It gets them engaged, so they're looking forward to the next iteration of it. Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you.
14.5 performance testing.
Yeah, I had this down. I believe that we've already talked about how we're going to move forward with this, and that we wanted to use the same type of process that we did before with user interviews. And I just want to make sure that that's going to be my highest priority for testing in 14.5. So I just want to make sure that that's plan still sounds good, so I can plan for that.
Yep. So keep in mind that we combined 2 categories into a single category. So there are jobs to be done around load testing on API endpoints, and there are jobs to be done around browser performance testing, both of which fall into this category.
Okay.
When it comes to internal stakeholders and dogfooding this, we'll probably be able to get browser performance testing, dogfooding done sooner than the load testing, I would think.
So if we were to talk to internal users or internal, so GitLab team members, for example, we would probably get more people to talk about browser performance testing.
I think so, because I know it's already, like, it's part of the pipelines already. We get data around browser performance testing from review apps when they launch. So we should be able to get better feedback on potentially, how are you measuring this today?
Okay.
We may also want to talk to Joanna, who's our quality stable counterpart for ops, and see if she can lend a hand with finding folks to interview as well.
Okay. All right.
I mean, we've mostly focused on the developer, but for our internal customers, the folks looking at that data are probably more going to be in quality than in development. Or
Okay.
software engineering, or however we want to say it.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense.
But I would at least poke at that a little bit. I'm making a guess or an educated guess, but I think that it may bear fruit.
Okay.
Cool.
So I'll probably work on, I like trying to get the recruiting done somewhat early. So I'm going to try to work on like doing all of the early things like discussion guide, making sure I have that in place before I start recruiting, and start working on that before 14.5, like
Awesome.
this.
Let's also, I'm gonna add this to my list of things to talk about. Anything else on your side?
No, that was all.
All right. So my priorities this week, continuing to work on my transition issue, and supporting Scott on his internship. He had his first external interview yesterday. It went really well. Lots of good insights. Still giving feedback on interview style, but it's going well, I think. And then we found a couple other folks, so I think he'll get to his 5 probably sooner than I do in the current research I'm doing. I have any interviews this week? I have one tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, I have a customer interview. And then I think I have a couple next week. Yeah, I have 2 more next week. So that would get me to 5. And I might just cut it there because I've had some folks reschedule. I'm supposed to have 3 the week after that. If we get through and we're in a good spot by the 21st, I'm going to email those folks and ask them. Actually, depending on how tomorrow's goes, I might just email them and ask them to pull it into next week, and I'll clear my calendar so there's space. That was the problem before. Or just cancel them. We'll go from there. And then I wanted to follow up on what's next for usability testing. Now there are jobs to be done, research is complete. For me, logically, the next step is great. Now we know what jobs people want to do. Now we measure how well we do them, right? So it would be a scorecard against that category with our current feature set of how can you do the thing that you have said you need to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what would be next. So I was assuming that we were going to wait to do that because that would be part of the category maturity scorecard is evaluating that, I think. Although I'd have to look at that again because I'm not super familiar with that process. I'm assuming that we would have to evaluate it ourselves like a normal UX scorecard and then also talk to people.
I would think that we would evaluate it ourselves to understand the gaps. And then over the course of the next 6 months, build the feature set that fills those gaps. If we think that this is the next thing that we need to go pursue.
And then we would do a full formal scorecard at some point before July of 2022, which is when the schedule will move this. Okay. I mean, we need to understand what the gaps are. So if we just scored ourselves and say, can we do these things that someone would need to do with our current feature set, with review apps and with visual review tools? Yes or no? And what is our general experience? And we find that, yeah, this is viable. Then we look at the other things that we need to do to move to viable, which are if there's significant use of GitLab. And maybe it's understanding those gaps of what is preventing us from using this significantly at GitLab. And again, I would point back to, can we use this with some measure of significance for handbook and for docs? Because we know that there's gaps in the environment management portion of using it for GitLab, the GitLab project itself. Okay. I'm just wondering if us going through that process ourselves is the best. I mean, I think that would be helpful. I also wonder if, because we already got some feedback from the docs team around how they could use this. I just wonder if we should also talk to people who are already using this in their like daily workflows. I mean, at the very least, I can just use, so a normal like UX scorecard will just use a job to be done. And then we'll have a goal and tasks set up with it, and I'll go through it, which would actually be good because I'm basically a new user. And I'll go through it and then note the things that I see along the way that would be marked as gaps. Would that fulfill what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, it doesn't have to be a super formal thing. It can be just how do we use it ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. When would you think about getting that done? Sometime within the next 6 months.
So yeah, sometime within the next 6 months, sometime within probably the next 2 months. I think
Yeah.
we should do that. That'll be part of the transition. The other is then making sure there's a dog fooding issue specifically for handbook and for docs for visual review tools as a feedback loop. To drive that so that we can get that, we use it. Does there a significant use at GitLab?
Okay.
So understanding where those gaps are. I think the first step in that is create the dog food issue, find the DRIs for handbook and for docs, and engage them there in that dog fooding issue of what prevents us from using visual review tools today and review apps to leave feedback on MRs about changes in the handbook and on the documents or on the doc side, versus go into the MR and leave a comment there. Like how can we get that script embedded so that it's usable?
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be great. I think a combination of those two is great.
Okay. I will take the to-do of creating the dog fooding issue.
Okay. I'll create just a placeholder for now for this other, I'm calling UX scorecard, but I'm gonna see if, I don't think we need to be as formal as that. Well,
I agree. I think it's just, what are our impressions of this? Like, would we feel confident just moving forward with a UX scorecard today and having it score at that 3.14 or whatever it is with internal users? And if we're not, then let's try to understand where those gaps are. That's the intent of that, is either we have the confidence, we can do this, we just need to get the significant use and set up a demo project where somebody could go through the process, or we find all those friction points and create issues that resolve them so that we do gain that confidence when we get into the formal CMS process.
okay.
Does that help clarify a little bit?
Yes, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Make sure I tag Hayana in the Slack post of this video so that she can, or that they can like watch this and see if we came up with our own totally wild process around jobs to be done and scorecards, which I've been known to do from time to time. Awesome. That's it for me. Anything else I can help with? Anything else you want to talk through? Oh, I did do some pretty severe axing of issues in 14.5, 14.6 and moving things out to make room for things that were snow plowing out of 14.4.
Okay.
None of it is front-endy kind of stuff. We actually somehow with fewer front-end developers have more capacity in front-end right now, it seems like, just because of the work that is being done in back-end.
Yeah.
I left a comment about that, I think, yesterday in the team channel or in the group channel.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I need anything else. I am curious to see, and I don't know if I should ask this. I probably should have asked this in the team meeting. Are we taking on any additional issues for the merge request widgets because there's two more. I believe there's two more that we still have not done.
A great question for Scott in the team meeting, I would think.
Okay,
Those are the ones related to the working group.
yes.
That's a great question for Scott. We'll probably continue to find capacity and pipeline execution to help with those things.
Okay. Well, I'll just follow up with him. All right.
All right. Well, have a great day. Have fun tomorrow.
Thanks. Yeah,
Cheers.
excited for tomorrow. Bye.